Admiral Elena Santos stood at the viewport of the TSS Nighthawk, watching the massive alien warships approach through the dark expanse of space. Her weathered face remained impassive, but a slight smile tugged at her lips. After 15 years of careful planning, the Terran Strategic Command's greatest deception was about to bear fruit. "Status report," she commanded, turning to face the bridge crew. The holographic displays cast a soft blue glow across their faces, each officer maintaining the appearance of nervous tension they'd rehearsed countless times. Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel's fingers danced across his console. 3 Confederation dreadnoughts on approach vector, Admiral. Their energy signatures match our intelligence exactly. They're running active scans of our vessel. "Good," Elena replied. "Let them scan every inch of this elaborate prop." The Nighthawk was humanity's masterpiece of misdirection, a ship deliberately designed to appear exactly as advanced as the Galactic Confederation would expect from a supposedly primitive species taking its first steps into deep space. The truth was far different. For decades, humanity had intercepted Confederation transmissions, studied their technology, and prepared for this moment. While the aliens believed they were monitoring a developing civilization, humans had already surpassed them in many ways. The quantum technology hidden beneath the Nighthawk's primitive exterior made their crystalline-based systems look like children's toys. "Incoming transmission," announced Communications Officer Maya Chen. "The Confederation flagship is hailing us." Elena straightened her uniform. On screen, the main display flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of Supreme Commander Vaxthal. The alien's iridescent scales shifted colors as he regarded the humans with barely concealed disdain. "Greetings, vessel of Earth." Vaxthal's translated voice resonated through the bridge. "I see your species has finally managed to achieve rudimentary faster-than-light travel." "How? Quaint." Elena bowed slightly, playing her role perfectly. "Supreme Commander, we are honored by your presence. I am Admiral Santos of the Terran Space Service." "Yes, well." Vaxthal's head crest flared with what their intelligence identified as smug superiority. "The Confederation has been monitoring your species development with great interest. We believe it's time to formally integrate Earth into our protective custody." "Protective custody?" Elena allowed just the right amount of confusion to color her voice. "I'm afraid I don't understand." "It's quite simple, really. Your species is like a child playing with fusion reactors. Without proper guidance, you'll inevitably destroy yourselves or worse, become a threat to galactic stability. The Confederation will assume control of your military and technological development, for your own good, of course." Behind Elena, her crew maintained their carefully crafted appearance of shock and uncertainty. None betrayed any sign that humanity's quantum drives had already mapped most of the galaxy, or that their defense systems could shred Confederation shields like paper. "This is unexpected," Elena responded, adding a slight tremor to her voice. "Our government would need time to consider such an offer." Vaxthal's scales darkened. "Perhaps I should be more clear, Admiral. This is not an offer. It is an inevitability. You have 2 of your planetary rotations to prepare your leaders for our arrival. The Confederation will be establishing a presence on your world." The transmission cut off abruptly. Elena waited exactly 5 seconds before activating the quantum entanglement communicator hidden beneath layers of primitive electronics. "Control, this is Nighthawk. Operation Trojan Horse is proceeding exactly as projected. The Confederation has made their move." The response came instantly through quantum space, undetectable by any known Confederation technology. "Understood, Nighthawk. Ghost Fleet is in position. Continue as planned." Elena looked at her crew, their facades of nervousness replaced by focused determination. "Send the coded signal to all our primitive colonies. It's time to show the galaxy why humanity spent so long playing weak." As the Confederation dreadnoughts loomed outside, their advanced sensors failed to detect the quantum ripples spreading through space, the wake of hundreds of stealth vessels moving into position. The TSS Shadowhawk, humanity's true flagship, led a fleet that would soon demonstrate why patience should never be mistaken for weakness. In her quarters later that evening, Alina reviewed the final pieces of humanity's grand strategy. The Confederation's arrogance had led them to believe humans would be easy prey, just like the dozen other species they'd subjugated through protective custody. They never questioned why Earth's technological progress had followed such a predictable pattern, or why humans seemed to struggle with exactly the right problems to appear harmless. The quantum display showed hundreds of human vessels hidden throughout the sector, each one carrying technology that would shatter the Confederation's understanding of physics. Their crystalline-based technologies were impressive, but quantum manipulation, humanity's true strength, operated on an entirely different level. Message from Strategic Command. Her neural implant whispered. Final authorization received. Operation Trojan Horse is now active. Elena closed her eyes, savoring the moment. Humanity had hidden their true nature for so long, played the part of the struggling young species so perfectly. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn that appearances can be deceiving, and that humans had mastered the art of strategic patience. As she prepared for sleep, Alina thought about the history lessons future generations would learn about these moments, about how humanity had turned the Confederation's greatest weapon, their overwhelming pride, against them. The aliens thought they were springing a trap on Earth. They had no idea they were walking into one themselves. The real war would begin tomorrow, and the Confederation was about to learn that underestimating humanity was the last mistake they would ever make as the dominant power in the galaxy. The quantum crystals hummed beneath Captain Marcus Chen's feet as he stood on the bridge of the TSS Shadowhawk. Hidden in dimensional space, his vessel represented everything humanity had kept secret for decades. The massive ship, nearly invisible against the backdrop of stars, carried weapons that would rewrite the galaxy's understanding of warfare. Ghost Fleet squadrons reporting ready, Lieutenant Sarah O'Neill announced, her neural interface pulsing with data streams from hundreds of stealth vessels. Quantum shields at maximum efficiency, phase weapons charged and synchronized. Marcus studied the tactical display, showing the Confederation dreadnoughts still hovering near Admiral Santos's Nighthawk. The aliens remained completely unaware of the net closing around them. Status of Operation Trojan Horse. Admiral Santos reports the Confederation forces are growing impatient. Sarah responded. They're beginning to power up their main weapons arrays. Exactly as predicted. Of course they are. Marcus allowed himself a grim smile. Pride makes for predictable behavior. Signal all Ghost Fleet vessels. Execute Phase 1. Across the void, quantum ripples spread as 100 human warships shifted partially into normal space. Each vessel carried technology that would have seemed like magic to the Confederation, not because humans were inherently more brilliant, but because they'd spent decades preparing while appearing primitive. The first sign something was wrong came when the Confederation flagship attempted to fire on the Nighthawk. Their crystalline energy beam passed straight through the vessel, revealing it as an elaborate hologram. Before they could process this development, the Ghost Fleet struck. Quantum-enhanced weapons fire erupted from seemingly empty space. The shots ignored the Confederation's supposedly impenetrable shields, precisely disabling weapons and propulsion systems without causing casualties. Marcus watched with satisfaction as panic spread through the enemy fleet. "Open a channel to Supreme Commander Vaxthal," he ordered. "Let's explain their situation." The alien commander's face appeared on the quantum display, his scales now pulsing with confusion and fear. "What sorcery is this? Your species couldn't possibly." "Supreme Commander," Marcus interrupted calmly, "I am Captain Chen of the Terran Ghost Fleet. What you're experiencing isn't sorcery. It's simply the result of patience and preparation. While you watched us fumbling with basic spaceflight, we studied your every weakness." As if to emphasize his point, more human ships materialized around the Confederation vessels. Their black quantum absorption hulls seemed to drink in both light and hope. "Your crystalline technology is impressive," Marcus continued. But quantum manipulation operates on entirely different principles. You can't block what exists in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Impossible, Vaxstall whispered. Our intelligence networks, our monitoring systems, showed exactly what we wanted them to show. Did you never wonder why our technological development followed such a convenient pattern? Why we seem to struggle with exactly the right problems to appear harmless? The tactical display showed more Confederation ships arriving through conventional FTL, responding to their flagship's distress call. Marcus remained unimpressed. Lieutenant O'Neill, demonstrate Package 3. The Shadowhawk's quantum drives activated, and the massive ship simply ceased to exist in normal space, reappearing instantly behind the Confederation reinforcements. More Ghost Fleet vessels emerged from dimensional space, surrounding the newcomers before they could react. Your empire subjugates species by appearing at their doorstep with overwhelming force, Marcus explained to the increasingly panicked Vaxthal. You mistake patience for weakness, preparation for primitive development. That ends today. The Confederation will never submit to. You misunderstand. Supreme Commander, we don't want your submission. We want cooperation. Equal partnership in galactic affairs. Your empire will acknowledge Earth's sovereignty and begin proper diplomatic relations. Or, Marcus let the threat hang in the air as more Ghost Fleet vessels revealed themselves. Each one represented decades of hidden advancement, centuries of humanity playing the long game. You have 6 hours to contact your leadership and deliver our terms. Choose wisely. As the transmission ended, Sarah approached his command station. Do you think they'll accept? Marcus watched the Confederation ships on a quantum display, their crews undoubtedly in chaos as they realized the true situation. They don't have a choice. The real question is how many other subjugated species will rise up when they learn the Empire isn't as invincible as they thought. The Ghost Fleet maintained its position, hundreds of quantum-enhanced vessels surrounding the Confederation forces. After generations of hiding, humanity had finally revealed its hand. But this was just the beginning. The galaxy would never be the same. In his private thoughts, Marcus reflected on the principles that had guided humanity's strategy. Patience, preparation, the willingness to appear weak while building strength. The Confederation had never understood these concepts, relying instead on brute force and technological superiority. They were about to learn that true power often lies in what remains hidden until the perfect moment. The next few days would reshape galactic politics forever. But for now, Marcus took satisfaction in knowing that humanity's greatest victory had been won not through overwhelming force, but through strategic patience and the power of deception. The Ghost Fleet's unveiling was just the first step in a new era of human influence among the stars. The Confederation High Council chamber erupted in chaos. The massive crystalline hall, usually a place of ordered deliberation, now echoed with the angry voices of 100 species representatives. Supreme Counselor Zorak stood at the center, her iridescent scales dulled with stress as she faced the growing crisis. Order, she commanded, her translator struggling to convey authority in 30 different languages simultaneously. The High Council will maintain order. How can we maintain order when humans have made us look like fools? Demanded the Vexian representative, his bioluminescent patterns flashing with rage. Our entire security doctrine was based on technological superiority. Ambassador Krell of the Nixian Alliance raised all 4 of his arms in agitation. We must launch an immediate full-scale assault. Show these humans the true might of the Confederation. With what fleet? Chancellor Mira of the Sentinel Worlds cut in, her holographic form flickering with barely contained anxiety. Half our dreadnoughts are already neutralized by their quantum technology. The other half can't even detect their ships until it's too late. Zerax watched the debate spiral further into panic. The humans' revelation of their true capabilities had shattered centuries of Confederation dominance. Worse, their subjugated worlds were beginning to question everything. Reports of unrest were flooding in from a dozen systems. Supreme Counselor, her neural assistant, whispered, Emergency transmission from the hegemony border. The massive display at the chamber center activated, showing a grim-faced Confederation fleet commander. Council members, we've lost contact with the hegemony defense fleet. They're quantum dampening fields. They're using human technology. Fresh chaos erupted in the chamber. The hegemony had been their most restive protectorate, kept in check only by superior Confederation weapons. If they'd acquired human quantum systems. There's more, the commander continued. We're detecting similar quantum signatures from the Proxima Alliance and the Centauri Collective. They're all rising up, using technology that makes our shields useless. Zerax felt the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. The Confederation had spent centuries building its power through technological dominance and careful manipulation of developing species. Humanity had just unraveled that strategy in less than a week. What are our options? She asked the assembled council, bringing temporary quiet to the chamber. Admiral Vexthor, still shaken from his encounter with the human ghost fleet, stepped forward. Our intelligence networks have completely failed us. We believed we were monitoring a primitive species, but they were studying us the entire time. Their quantum technology, it operates on principles we barely understand. Could we replicate it? Asked the Vexian representative. Not quickly enough, Vexthor admitted. They've had decades to perfect these systems while appearing primitive. We'd be starting from scratch, and they're already deploying countermeasures we can't even detect. A low murmur spread through the chamber as the implications sank in. For the first time in Confederation history, they weren't the most advanced power in known space. The humans had hidden their true capabilities so well, played the role of a developing civilization so perfectly, that no one had suspected the truth. Message from Earth diplomatic channels, announced the chamber's eye. They're requesting to address the council. Zerax straightened her posture, knowing this moment would be recorded in history. Connect them. The holographic display shifted, revealing Admiral Elena Santos and Captain Marcus Chen. Their expressions were neutral, but their confidence was unmistakable. They no longer needed to maintain the facade of an inferior species. Honorable Council, Elena began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. We understand this situation is uncomfortable for you. Change often is. But consider this moment an opportunity rather than a crisis. Opportunity, spat the Vexian representative. You've made us look weak before our protectorates. No, Marcus corrected calmly. We've shown that true strength doesn't come from domination. The Confederation's mistake wasn't in unifying the galaxy. It was in doing so through force and deception, rather than genuine cooperation. Elena stepped forward. We're not here to dismantle your civilization. We're offering a chance to transform it. Equal partnership, genuine technological exchange, and a new galactic order based on mutual respect, rather than subjugation. The chamber fell silent as the council members processed this. Zerax studied the humans carefully, seeing them truly for the first time. They could have destroyed the Confederation's power completely. Instead, they were offering a path forward. And if we refuse? Someone asked from the back of the chamber. Then we step aside and watch as your protectorates continue acquiring our technology. Marcus replied simply. They're already learning that quantum shields make your weapons obsolete. How long do you think your authority will last when they realize they don't need to fear you anymore? Zerax closed her eyes briefly, feeling centuries of history balanced on this moment. When she opened them, her decision was made. The council will need time to deliberate on your proposal. Of course, Elena nodded. But remember, the galaxy is changing, with or without your cooperation. We've shown you what humanity can do when we choose to reveal our strength. Imagine what we could accomplish as genuine allies. As the transmission ended, Zerax faced her fellow council members. The future of the Confederation, and perhaps the galaxy itself, would be decided by how they responded to this moment. The age of unquestioned dominance was over. The question now was whether they could adapt to a new reality where humanity had changed all the rules. The crystalline spires of New Alexandria Station, shattered as quantum torpedoes, phased through its supposedly impenetrable shields. Captain Marcus Chen watched from the Shadowhawk's bridge as the Confederation hardliners' last stronghold erupted in controlled explosions, their defense systems precisely neutralized without casualties. "Status of the civilian evacuation?" he asked, keeping his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding across multiple quantum dimensions. Lieutenant Sarah O'Neill consulted her neural feed. "Complete, sir. Ghost Fleet stealth transports got the last non-combatants out before we began our attack. The only ones left are Admiral Kexthor's loyalist forces." The rogue Confederation admiral had refused to accept the High Council's decision to negotiate with humanity. Instead, he'd gathered a fleet of traditionalist captains and seized control of the New Alexandria station, threatening to trigger its quantum core unless the Confederation rejected the new human proposed alliance. "Incoming transmission," announced Communications Chief Rivera. "It's Kexthor." The Admiral's holographic form materialized on the bridge, his scales dark with rage. "You think you've won, humans. You think your quantum tricks make you invincible." "This isn't about winning, Admiral," Marcus replied calmly. "Your own council has voted for peace. We're trying to prevent unnecessary casualties." "Peace?" Kexthor spat. "You mean surrender. The Confederation has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. We will not bow to primitives who got lucky with one technological advancement." As if to emphasize his point, the station's remaining crystalline cannons opened fire. The beams passed harmlessly through quantum-shifted human vessels, their targeting systems confused by dimensional displacement. "That's where you're wrong," Marcus said. "We didn't get lucky. We spent generations preparing, studying, learning patience. While you saw what you expected to see, we built something far beyond your understanding." Sarah's neural interface pulsed with sudden alarm. "Captain, they're powering up the station's quantum core. Energy readings are critical." Marcus felt his heart rate spike, but kept his expression neutral. "Admiral, destabilizing that core will destroy everything within 50 light years, including your own fleet. Then we die with honor," Kexthor declared. "Better that than living in a galaxy where the Confederation kneels to lesser beings." The quantum display showed energy levels rising dangerously in the station's core. They had minutes at most before catastrophic failure. Marcus took a deep breath, then activated his neural link to the Ghost Fleet's unified command network. "All vessels, execute Operation Checkmate." Across the battlefield, hundreds of human ships activated their dimensional drives simultaneously. The space around New Alexandria Station warped and twisted as quantum fields intersected at precisely calculated points. The station itself seemed to blur, existing in multiple states at once. What are you doing?" Kexthor demanded, his holographic image flickering. "Showing you why quantum manipulation isn't just one technological advancement," Marcus explained. "Your crystalline technology tries to control energy. Ours controls reality itself." The Ghost Fleet moved in perfect synchronization, their quantum fields creating a dimensional pocket around the station. Inside that pocket, time itself began to flow differently. Marcus watched as the station's core explosion began in horrible slow motion, giving evacuation teams precious extra seconds to work. "Phase 2, he commanded. Sarah's hands flew across her neural interface. Quantum containment fields active. Beginning core energy absorption. The station's destabilizing core didn't explode outward as Kexthor had planned. Instead, its energy was caught in layers of quantum fields, channeled and redirected through dimensional space. The Ghost Fleet's ships acted as a massive energy distribution network, safely bleeding off power that could have destroyed dozens of worlds. "Impossible," Kexthor whispered, watching his final gambit fail. "No," Marcus corrected him. "Just very, very well planned. Humanity spent centuries appearing weak because we understood something you never did. True strength isn't about having the biggest weapons. It's about knowing when and how to use them." The station's core energy levels finally stabilized, contained by human quantum technology. Throughout the battlefield, Confederation loyalist ships hung motionless, their crews watching in stunned silence as humanity demonstrated mastery over forces they'd barely begun to understand. "Admiral," Marcus said quietly, "your revolution is over. The question is whether you're willing to learn from this moment, or if you'll cling to pride until it destroys you." The holographic image of Kexthor flickered once more, then vanished. Moments later, the station's remaining defense systems powered down. Confederation ships began transmitting surrender signals. Sarah approached Marcus's command station, her neural feed still processing data from the battle. "They never really understood us, did they? Even now, they think this was about proving our superiority." Marcus shook his head. "No, they didn't understand. We didn't hide our strength all those years because we wanted to trick them. We did it because we knew that true power comes from knowing when not to use it." As the Ghost Fleet began rescue operations for the surrendering Confederation forces, Marcus reflected on how this moment would be remembered. Not as a triumph of human technology, but as proof that patience and wisdom could overcome even the most entrenched power. The galaxy was changing, and humanity's greatest victory had come not from the weapons they'd revealed, but from the restraint they'd shown in using them. 1 year after the Battle of New Alexandria, the rebuilt station hosted a very different gathering. Admiral Elena Santos stood before the newly formed Galactic Cooperative's inaugural assembly, watching representatives from 100 worlds, former Confederation members and protectorates alike, take their seats as equals for the first time. The station's quantum crystalline hybrid architecture symbolized the new era, blending human and Confederation technologies in ways that enhanced both. Scientists from dozens of species now work together, sharing knowledge freely rather than hoarding it for power. "Who would have thought," Marcus said quietly beside her, "that our greatest achievement wouldn't be our quantum technology, but this?" He gestured to the assembled delegates, former enemies now engaged in animated discussion about joint research projects and trade agreements. "The technology was just a tool," Elena replied. "The real victory was showing them a different way to view the galaxy." The chamber quieted as Supreme Counselor Zorax approached the podium. Her scales now shimmered with calm confidence rather than the stress of their first encounter. "Fellow members of the cooperative, 1 year ago, humanity taught us all a profound lesson. Not through force, but through patience and wisdom." Elena remembered the chaos following the Battle of New Alexandria. Many had expected humans to simply replace the Confederation as the galaxy's dominant power. Instead, they'd used their advantage to foster genuine collaboration, sharing quantum technology with any world that committed to peaceful development. "The annual progress reports are remarkable," Zorax continued. "Quantum crystalline hybrid drives have revolutionized space travel. The hegemony's agricultural yields have doubled with dimensional farming techniques. The Proxima Alliance's medical centers are saving millions using quantum regeneration." In the audience, former Admiral Kexthor, now a leading advocate for technological cooperation, nodded in agreement. His transformation from hardline traditionalist to champion of change symbolized the broader shift in galactic society. "But perhaps most importantly," Zorax said, "we've learned that true strength comes not from dominance, but from cooperation. Not from fear, but from mutual respect." Elena's neural implant pinged with a priority message from Earth Command. The quantum sensor network had detected something massive approaching from intergalactic space, far larger than anything they'd encountered before. A potential first contact scenario with beings from beyond the galaxy itself. She shared a knowing look with Marcus. Whatever was coming, this time the galaxy would face it united. Humanity had shown them that patience and preparation were worth more than pride and power. The next chapter in their story was about to begin, and they would write it together. "The dawn of this new era brings challenges we cannot yet imagine," Zorax concluded, unknowingly echoing Elena's thoughts. "But we face them not as masters and servants, not as advanced and primitive, but as equals. each contributing our unique strengths to a greater. As the assembly erupted in applause, Alina thought about the long journey that had brought them here. Humanity had spent centuries playing the long game, appearing weak while building strength. But their true victory hadn't come from the weapons they'd hidden or the technology they'd developed. It had come from understanding that real power wasn't about controlling others. It was about showing them a better way forward. As the applause continued, Alina activated her neural link to send a message back to Earth Command. We're ready. Whatever comes next, we face it together. The galaxy had changed forever, not because humanity had proved stronger, but because they'd proved wiser. As the assembly began its first official session, Alina knew that this was just the beginning. The stars themselves seemed brighter somehow, full of promise rather than threat. Humanity had revealed its strength not to conquer, but to connect. Not to rule, but to unite. And in doing so, they'd helped create something far greater than an empire. They'd created a future where power meant partnership, and strength meant working together. The Ghost Fleet still patrolled the stars, but now they protected a cooperative rather than enforcing dominance. As Alina took her seat among the delegates, she smiled. The galaxy had learned that the greatest power often lies not in what you can do to others, but in what you can do with them. And somewhere out there, beyond the galactic rim, something was coming that would test this new unity. But this time, they would face it not as separate species fighting for dominance, but as a united galaxy ready to write the next chapter of their shared story together.